Hi, you've reached the Talking Racewalking podcast. It's all about racewalking, of course. It's talking to racewalkers from around the world about racewalking. Join me, Noel Payne, a amateur racewalker in Canada, as I talk to elites, Olympians, record holders, masters walkers, and anybody who's out walking as fast as they can. Hi, so this is a section where I'd actually be talking to someone, a race walker. So this is where you can come in. If you know a race walker, you're a race walker, and you have an amazing story, I want to hear from you. So reach out, let's chat, let's get walking and talking. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Talking Racewalking. I've come back to Canada for this one, and I've gone to a province that is right next to me here in Ottawa. I've gone to Quebec to talk to Yvan Bechard, a friend, a fellow racewalker, a Masters racewalker, who is heading off to the Masters World Championships, Indoor World Championships in Florida in only a few days. So I wanted to highlight an elite Masters race walker and talk to him about how he got into it, what he's been doing, and hopefully stop talking so you can listen to him and not me. So welcome, bon matin, Yvan.
Hey, good morning.
And for those that aren't French, that I just said bon matin, good morning in French, which actually is an Anglicism of, they don't actually say good morning. Anyways, so I'm getting too complicated, but glad to have you on the podcast. Let's get started just telling people about yourself. When did you start getting into race walking?
I got into race walking in the 80s, 1980, 81 in Longueuil, Quebec.
When you were six, right?
Sorry?
When you were six?
Yeah, I was 6, exactly. I was 18 years old. 18 years old. Yeah. And I was member of a club there in Longueuil, and I was a middle distance runner.
Okay.
And there was a girl in my club, Christine Ostigi, who was a race walker, the sole race walker I knew. So it was interesting, and I wanted to know a bit about her too. So I started race walking and really liked it, the technical points of race walking, especially. So from 1980, 81, 82, I was in race walking in Longueuil. Then I moved to Ottawa for university, for my degree. And I did a tryout with the Lions.
Right,
so
the big track club here.
Yeah. And with the tryout, there was a young guy there who lapped me. And I wasn't into race walking anymore, not a lot. And I would have had to change to 20 kilometers.
Right.
So that was a big step, really a big step with the studying and everything. So I really slowed down race walking and stopped completely.
Okay, so you started young, but then with the studies and everything else, you didn't get into it competitively at that point.
No, not much, just a little bit. Did a couple of races, but at that time there were big guys in Quebec, Leblanc, Lapointe, Archambault. Those guys were really, really strong compared to me.
Right, and that would have been the end of towards the tail end of our Olympian in Quebec as well. His tail end as Yvan or as Leblanc and everything was coming in as well.
Yeah, and Jobin was still there.
Yeah, exactly.
Still strong.
Yeah. For anybody that's listening, Quebec in Canada, Quebec. Well, even now there's a lot of walkers, but for a while there, it was really pumping out some elite level race walkers, especially in the 80s time period. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, strong place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I stopped. And in 2014, I restarted race walking after a leg injury in running. leg injuries stood from 2010 till 2014, and we never found what was the problem.
Right.
So I registered for a race with one of my daughters, and I said, "Well, I'm going to do it race walking,"
Right.
and it wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad. It was a 3K. So then I said, "Okay, well, race walking is not triggering my injury anymore. It's not triggering it. So I'm going to try race walking." So I checked for a coach, and I asked two coaches. One of them answered me, Robert Vandenberg, in the Greenfield Park. So I joined him, and the reason was not to compete, really. It was only to get in shape doing race walking, because I wasn't able to run that much, and to prevent injuries.
That's really interesting. I find from talking to especially a lot of masters athletes that it seems to be there's that common for a lot of us. It's sort of, doing some running, which is fairly high impact, and having an injury that either prevents us or makes running difficult. A lot of masters seem to fall into race walking that way because it's lower impact and seems
Mm-hmm.
to not aggravate a running injury. So that's interesting to hear. And before you're going to, I want to say thank you, merci, for doing this in English. So for everybody else's awareness too, Canada has two official languages,
Yeah, yeah.
English and en français, so French and English. And Yvan's first language is French. So he is doing this in his second language and he's very fluent. So yeah, but I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Okay.
And before we move on, you said you weren't 6 and you were 18 in the 1980s. So how old does that make you as a master's athlete instead of heading off to Worlds? What category are you in?
I'm in the M60. I'm
Right. So
60.
you've hit a new category. So you've got new
I
champ.
well, I'm 62.
Okay, 62. Okay. So you've been in for a while. So you got a couple years left in the M60
Yeah,
category.
yeah.
Excellent.
To break records.
Yeah. I know you're trying to break records and you're trying to stay ahead of our friend. Um,
Dimitri.
yes, Dimitri, who
Yeah.
I didn't want to say his name, but Dimitri tends to, for anybody outside of Canada, Dimitri is our masters athlete who tends to destroy all the records
Very good.
before the rest of us can get to them. So
Yeah, yeah. He's
Ivan's
he's
ahead of him.
he's getting all my records, so I have to make some more.
You do. You're doing well. So that gets to my next point. What have you been up to in 2025? Because I know you took a bit of a pause,
Yeah,
but I guess 2024 and 2025, what have you been up to? You've been had some great performances. So tell me what you've been up to so far.
yeah. I took a pause for 2 years,
Yeah.
and then I wanted to get in shape again. So I said, okay, I'm going to restart race walking, and it went really well. I restarted it last May, and so far I did 2 times 1500, 2 times 3000, and I beat the Canadian record in those two distances.
We call that okay, doing okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's doing okay.
yeah, but with good age grading. If people know about age grading, I had good age grading, because beating a record is something, but sometimes the record is not strong.
True, true.
But those records are pretty good. Are pretty good.
Yeah, and for any recreational race walkers at this, Yvonne's being very humble as well. So regardless, even if he was taking down a soft record, he is decently quick. Okay, let's
Yeah,
just say that. And he's broken some records as he's in his previous years as well. You set
yeah,
a number of records, I think provincial and national. So yeah, he's a very respectable race walker.
yeah, yeah. At one point, I had 12 records,
Well,
but now
now he's just bragging. I was just trying to bring up
no. It's because at one point I had 12, then I had 11, 10, because Dimitri is coming.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Dimitri's ears are burning right now. I think.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, he's a very good guy and a very
Yeah,
good ambassador for the sport. So
yeah,
I love that. So you got back into it. You've done some good races this year.
yeah.
Tell me what's the focus going into the Worlds only in a few days. What's
Yeah.
your focus going into the Worlds?
Okay, my focus is on the 3000. I can get in maybe third, fourth, or fifth.
Okay,
Regarding all the standards, the other guys'
right.
times, if they're good compared to mine, I could get in for third or fourth.
Well, really rooting for
So
you. And I think it's like I think athletics, it's when I tell my kids it's you give 100% of what you can on the day, and where that places you is how everybody else does as well, right? Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
I wish to do a good time if my time is good, even though I don't come in the three first positions. I know it might happen, but it's not the goal. The goal is not to get a medal. It's to do my best, and if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, no, completely. So, and there's a 3,000. Are you doing any other events?
I'm doing the 10K. The 10K, I'll be joining two other Canadian race walkers. We're not sure who's going to be in the team yet,
Okay.
but I'm going to join two other Canadian walkers. And the 10K is not my specialty right now because I did the short distances this winter.
Yeah.
So
And winters in
I'm
Canada are a little tough.
yeah, you have to train indoors, especially race walking. Outside is more dangerous, injury prone. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think I've been here in Ottawa, and I think I've done more shoveling than I've done race walking outside. So
yeah, especially this winter.
yeah, exactly. So
It
yeah,
was harsh.
yeah, in Canada, folks, I mean, I'm sure you've heard, you know where Canada is on the map. We get some pretty harsh winters, especially in Quebec and Ontario, where Yvan and I are on the west coast. Well, the very west coast, it tends to be sort of Birkenstocks and a light dusting of snow, but up here we can get 30, 40 centimeters of snow sitting, on the roads and on the lawn, and it going down from, anywhere from -5 to -20, 30 at times. So it can make winter training quite tough, quite
Yeah,
tough. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Especially for race walkers because we land with the heel, we have less traction.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different.
Yeah. You get a little bit of that sort of as well. It's the heel, but also that hip movement where we're not just moving forward, that foot is kind of
Yeah,
sliding as we land and push off. So yeah, if you got ice or slippery conditions, you're making it can be quite tough.
yeah.
Agreed.
So my goal on the 10K will be to do the best I can again. Should be under 60 minutes,
Nice.
but we'll be three in the team, and the goal is try to go to the medal round.
Yeah.
It's not impossible because there aren't many teams. I'm not sure if we're going to be a really strong team, not gold, but maybe silver or bronze could be possible. We will have a good team, but the Americans are going to be very strong. So it's in their homeland, so they have good race walkers too. So
Yeah, I think you guys will do well. I think there's going to be 2 to 3 guys there that could compete for a medal for sure.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
of
This
course.
podcast not about me, but I was hoping to join Yvan.
Yeah,
Flu and everything. Just worst case scenario, the treadmill broke. My indoor running track in Ottawa here
yeah,
actually
collapse.
collapsed. It collapsed.
Yeah,
I then managed to get a flu, which yeah. Anyways, it's one of those things where I would have loved to have been there to join you,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
Is that called Murphy's Law?
I think if it can happen, it will happen. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyways, I'm hoping to get out maybe later this fall, but I'll be watching you guys in Florida. It looks like a great facility. Anybody who's interested, go check out the Masters World Championships, Indoor Championships in Gainesville, Florida. Check it out. Watch for the results and photos coming from that. There'll be stuff on social media. It's a great chance not only to see race walking, but what Masters athletes can do. I think a lot of people aren't aware that you can sort of challenge and compete after you hit 40. So
Oh
I
yeah,
impressive.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
There are some pretty amazing people there, men
yeah,
and women. It's yeah.
completely. So as a masters athlete in Canada, what is your training like, Ivan? What's like just to get because we're going to have elites listening to this. We're going to have other masters athletes, but as well, we're going to get recreational people or people who are just getting into race walking. And one of the most common questions you get, other than what shoe do I wear,
Yeah.
is how do I train? What's a race walking training plan? I often say it's very similar to running. What is your training like throughout the year?
Okay. Well, right now because of my I have a hamstring thing a little bit, So I have to go very slowly on my progression. So what I usually do is like every other day I train a little bit harder on one and then more relaxed on the second. And I increase a little bit my volume like each week. But I'm not training. My training is like takes 3 hours almost, and I will do maybe 6, 7 kilometers. But in between my reps, I will do some exercises sometimes, core exercises. I take my time, but it takes around 3 hours for my training.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Uh,
I think you're probably doing what all of us should be doing. I know with kids and everything here, it makes it, I often just try, I often have to get out and just sort of cram in the actual mileage without doing what it sounds like you're doing, like the proper warm up, the drills,
yeah,
exercises, and then the workout and a cool down and some light stretching. Like,
yeah,
sounds like you're really taking the time
yeah.
to do what you need to do.
Mhm. Well, my warm up is almost half an hour
Nice.
for technical exercise.
Now here's a question for you. At your advanced age, I'm just kidding. We're all everything's relative. There's always
You're
somebody else.
coming there. You're coming there.
I'm right behind you, mate. I'm
Yeah.
right behind you. Um, Now, are you retired? Does this give you more time to train?
Yes. Well, I'm half retired. I
Okay.
work 2 mornings a week.
Okay,
I'm a
perfect.
I'm a phys ed teacher, and I work with the kindergarten and grade 1 kids.
Oh wow, actually, that's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so are you enjoying this time and sort of like being partly retired? Do you find it makes training easier or
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It makes it easier. Yeah. Well, when I wasn't retired, I would train hard too with my with Robert Vandenberg. I would try hard. I would find places where to try to train, but it was like my only focus was on that.
right?
Now, as I'm retired, I have more time. I train, but I do other stuff. So it's easier for me. It's easier to travel to.
Yes.
It's lots of things are easier. Yeah.
Except being older, which is that makes it tougher
Yeah.
too.
Well,
I'm there with you.
you
So
have to live with that. It
exactly.
won't get away.
No, not necessarily as fast as we used to, but perhaps a little bit wiser as well.
Yeah.
And when you train, we were talking about comparing it to running schedule. Do you find like people are always asking, how do you train for race walking? Do you find that it's like I do that it's you could almost switch running and race walking? It takes you more time to race walk, but a training schedule looks very much the same.
Yeah.
Long ones, fartlek, interval sessions, an easy rest day, that type of thing. Very similar format.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. It's pretty similar, I guess. It's a long distance event. So other than the technical part, but even in running, there are things to work out.
yeah,
Yeah. But in my trainings from May till this time, usually when I train, I do a checklist.
right.
This is something I got from my previous trainer because I self train right now.
Yep.
The checklist. So okay, how is my foot position? How is my leg coming along, close to the ground? My shoulders are relaxed. Okay, my breathing. Okay, hip rotation, everything. Arm swing at the back. I a toe push. Okay, I have to work on that because I met the Stafford last weekend, and he
Stafford
told
is our great coach from
exactly,
the Toronto area. He's been around for a long time. Stafford Whalen, if you want to look him up, amazing. And it's the Ontario Race Walkers, in case you want to find him.
exactly. He was a judge there, and at the end, he told me, "Well, your toe push was good first kilometer, and then the two last one, it wasn't there anymore." But I told him because in that race, I was trying to get a Canadian record, beat my own record. But after the first K, I figured out it was not going to be possible. So I
You ease
slowed
back.
down
Yeah,
purposely and just finished the race in a good time, just as a practice to do the worlds.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to push like, okay, I'm going to push really hard to maintain my speed and maybe get an injury.
Right.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So It wasn't there. So I just slowed down. So he noticed after the first K, I didn't push with my toes anymore.
He's got a good set of eyes.
Yeah, very good. But he told me you should push even though you're going slower.
Right.
So today in my training this morning, I went training. I did 3 times 2 kilometers, easy, and my focus was on toe push.
Well, I think I've heard that from a few people too. Like, I'm even newer to race walking than you are, a long time runner. But what I learned and what people would tell me was, regardless of the pace, the cadence and style should be the same. I don't think we all tend to do that all the time, but like what you're doing when you're going fast should be what you're doing when you're going slow.
Mm-hmm.
And same with cadence, right? Where we don't tend to slow down a lot, but I've been told as well that, that should basically be the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I think getting back to what you're saying for those folks listening to, they're a little bit new to the sport. Um, yeah, running requires some thinking. Well, I'm a runner, so yeah, not a lot of thinking. I will tell you that for sure. Because yeah, when I switched to race walking, especially initially, there's a fair amount of thinking about what's going on that tends to go away. But like you're saying, when you're competing or training, you still are analyzing a bit more than when you're running. You're thinking about that hip movement,
Yeah, I think so.
stride length, all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little bit of a different sport.
I don't worry about my technique if it's legal.
Right.
I never worry about that. I
I've
get
seen you. I've seen you. You're pretty legal.
I get very few warnings sometimes, but it's never a problem.
Right.
So I just go along, but I do my checklist for shoulders and everything, those things to be relaxed. Because
Yep.
some people told me, like Yannick Lemuel, who's a pole vaulter, very good pole vaulter in Quebec. He
Yeah.
told me, relax your face. You're too tense. So
That
I,
connection
I
between mind and body.
yeah, I have to relax a little bit. My energy has to go in my race walking, going forward.
I love it. I don't want to keep you too long, and people tend to have short attention spans,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no.
I have a
Good.
couple questions left for you.
Go. Okay.
And I'm going to ask you the question, and
Yeah.
then you can answer it in English. And after that, you to me dire en français. You can do it speak in French as well, so that I can say at least have a little bit of French in this podcast when I share it with my French audience.
C'est bon.
C'est comme je peux parler en français, mais c'est pas
C'est
assez
très.
confortable pour comme toute une conversation. I'm not good enough in French to be error free. So I'm working on it so that I can get a couple podcasts out in French. So we'll
Good.
see what we can do. But so my last question for you
Okay.
is,
Good.
um, if you had advice for, we're going to say older athletes, we'll say masters, so over 40. Sometimes that's 35 for some folks who,
Yeah.
are getting there, but it's more about, what advice would you have for that person that is thinking about switching over, trying race walking? Maybe they even still run. What advice would you have for them if they're thinking about trying the sport out?
I will tell them to try to find a track club where there's someone who has knowledge about race walking to guide them. Because if you mimic people doing race walking, you might injure yourself.
Right.
Uh, and when you start race walking too, the shins sometimes they burn.
Yes, I remember that.
So if you stop because they're burning, it takes a little bit time, and then it goes. But if you don't know about that, you're going to start and you say, oh, I'm injured. But it's not really an injury. It's just that your foot is not used to work that way. The muscles are there, everything. So I would tell them, yeah, seek for a trainer, someone who knows about race walking, and get that people to help you. Because and for the technique too. But there are many race walking coach walking around.
There are quite a few. So now, je vais te donner la chance de décrire comment en français
Oui,
pour les gens de Quebec, de France, comme Haïti, d'autres pays qui parlent en français. So another chance to say a few words in French for those that also speak French.
oui. Alors, si quelqu'un veut vraiment commencer à faire de la marche athlétique, le premier conseil que je donnerais, c'est de trouver un club d'athlétisme où il y a des personnes qui sont compétentes, quelqu'un qui peut être un entraîneur en marche athlétique, qui a des connaissances pour partir du bon pied, ne pas vous blesser. Et parce que parfois, quand on commence la marche athlétique, on veut imiter ceux qui font la marche athlétique, mais il faut comprendre pourquoi on fait ces gestes-là. Puis les gestes que les gens font quand ils nous imitent, c'est pas ça qu'on fait exactement. Alors d'avoir quelqu'un qui nous le montre comme il faut, afin d'éviter les blessures et puis d'avoir une progression intéressante. Et puis c'est accessible à beaucoup de personnes, mais c'est quand même c'est un peu inhabituel comme façon de se déplacer. Donc des fois c'est ce qui empêche ou rebute les gens un petit peu.
Merci pour tes mots. Thank you for that, Yvan. And I want to wish you well in Florida. It's coming up
Yeah.
fast. I hope you're feeling well. If
Yeah.
people want to follow you, are you on Instagram or any of those social media platforms at all?
I'm on Facebook. I'm
Okay,
on Facebook. Yvan
along with the
Bechard.
rest of us old farts. Yeah, so yeah, that's what's for the boomers are apparently. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not on anything else.
that's okay. That's okay.
Facebook takes much more too much time of my too much of my time yet
Too
still.
much time
So
away from your training.
it's so one platform.
That's all good, folks. I will compensate for Yvan. I'm pretty much we're on everything here. Talking race walking. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, or on Instagram, even Blue Sky. I ditched Twitter for we won't get into that, but yeah, Twitter's not in my world anymore. If you want to find Yvan, he's on Facebook, but it might be just for his friends or family. But stick with us, and we will let you know how he does at Worlds. And please connect with us on all our channels. And Yvan's got one final word before we close up.
Canadian Race Walkers on Facebook.
That's right. Sorry, yeah, it's a group we formed. It is a private group, but if you're a friend of race walking or Canadian race walking or want to find out about it, come join us there as well. And Yvan's in our group. So, merci encore, Yvan. Bonne
Bienvenue. Merci de
chance.
m'avoir invité. Merci.
À plus.
Bye Noël. À la prochaine.
That's it, folks. The end of the podcast. No walkers have been harmed in the recording of this podcast. And of course, at the moment, we have no sponsors or supporters at this point to fund all this amazing podcasting. But if you're out there and have a race walk company that produces some sort of race walk apparel product or something you think race walkers would love, get hold of us. We'd love to have you on board. Give us a holler.